The two big concepts you're going to need to get your head around the product of primes are obviously prime numbers and factors. If you're not happy with either of those, head back to their videos and see if you can brush up on them before we begin. That is essentially what we're finding, the prime factors of numbers. And why? Well, because knowing the product of primes for numbers allows us to quickly and easily compare them and find the highest common factor between them and the lowest common multiple, but we'll get to that another time. Right, that's enough faff, let's just do it. In order to find the product of primes, we have to create something like this. It's called a factor tree. Some teachers will call these branches, but personally I prefer to think of the whole number as the tree and all these lines as the roots that feed into it. We'll start small to get the gist. Let's find the product of primes for 36, and please indulge me while I push this tree and roots idea on you a little bit more. 36 is our tree, and for the first roots we need to find two numbers that multiply together to make it. There are lots of options, but I'm going to choose 12 and 3. At this point we look at these numbers and figure out if either are prime. 3 is, and you can use your grid from M004 if you need to, so we circle it. 12 is not, so now we need to find two numbers that multiply together to make that. I pick 2 and 6. 2 is prime, so I circle it. 6 isn't, so what multiplies together to make 6? 3 and 2, both of which are prime, so let's circle these two. So all we've done here is break down the number into factors, and if they're prime, that's where we stop. If they're not prime, we've broken them down more into their factors and kept going until we can't go any further. And with 36, that is as far as we can go. We find ourselves with 3, 2, 2 and 3, and if we were to multiply these all together, i.e. find the product of them, then you'd see it equals our original number. 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 times 3, 36. At this point it is really tempting to just leave it there and give that as the answer, but this tree, the factor tree, it's not the answer, it's just the working out. If we need to give the answer to the question, what is the product of primes for 36, you'd write 36 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. You'll notice here I put the numbers in ascending order, and as you progress with your mathematics you'll eventually start using something called index form as well to write this down. For now though, don't worry about that, this is great. Go back and watch that example again if you need, and when you're happy, try these. Pause the video and have a go. And the answers. Question A only has one real way to find the answer. 10 is 5 times 2, and both of these are prime, so 10 equals 2 times 5. For 18, I'm going to choose the multiplication 6 times 3. 3 is prime, and 6 then breaks down into 2 times 3, and both of these are prime. So 18 equals 2 times 3 times 3. For 60, I'll do 2 times 30. 2 is prime, and then 2 times 15 makes 30, 2 is prime again, and 3 times 5 makes 15. Both of these are prime. So 60 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. You may well have used different times tables, and that's fine. The answers should still be the same for each of these questions. Try and remember, if you didn't that time, to write the numbers in ascending order, going from the smallest to the biggest. If you mastered that, it's time to move on to M005, which is all about using this skill to find the highest common factor between some really big numbers. If you struggled, maybe go back, watch this video again, see where you went wrong, and if you still can't spot your mistakes, go and ask a teacher.